Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sharon Noble, director of the BC Coalition to Stop Smart Meters. Welcome back to the show, Sharon.
Thank you very much, Jim.
Sharon, right off the top, I have to ask, any response yet from the BC government from your 700-page report on fires caused by smart meters?
Nope, not a word.
Are you sure they got it?
I hand-delivered it to John Horgan's office. Yes, I'm sure they got it. I sent it via registered mail to Energy Minister Mungall's office. I sent it via registered mail to Adrian Dick's office and to Minister Trevina, who is the head of the Fire Commissioner's office. Yes, I'm sure they got it.
Are we still getting fires in BC caused by smart meters?
Jim, to tell you the truth, I'm not tracking it much anymore. I've shown that fires have occurred, and no one seems to care. In 2016, after my initial complaint, which BCUC is still referring to and saying that they refuted, which they didn't. In fact, what they did in 2016 is they said, if I felt that Len Garris's report was not adequate, then I should refute it. I should, explain why I disagreed with it. And that was what I did. They asked me to prove that the smart meters were dangerous, and I did, and this is what they're ignoring. Anyway, in 2016, as a result of my initial complaint, the BCUC ordered BC Hydro and Fortis to track their incidents with smart meters and to report on it on a regular basis. The last report I got was for the 6-month period from January 2018 to July 1st, 2018. And there were 33 incidents. Some were fires. Some were just damages to homes. Some were minor incidents. But there was no evidence to show that anyone had thoroughly investigated the reasons for these incidents. Hydro just reported that they occurred. And when I wrote back and asked who inspected the smart meters to find out why these things happened, I received no answer. Now, this has been basically the number. Every time I get a report, it's basically, between 30 and 35 incidents.
Every 6 months.
And, yeah, about every 6 months. And I have no way of knowing whether other incidents have occurred because I've stopped trying to check it, Jim. It was a full-time job. I did it for 3 years. And I provided a 700-page report showing the results of that. And everyone is ignoring it. So it didn't really seem to serve a purpose to continue doing it.
Could you see BC homeowners being charged more for their fire insurance because they have a known fire causer strapped to the side of their building?
No. It's not happening. And the reason it's not happening is because the insurance companies, it sounds strong, it's probably a bit of an overstatement to say they're in collusion, but in essence they are. The insurance companies have a duty, a fiduciary responsibility to warn when they find that there is a fire hazard or a dangerous product. Remember the Ford Pinto many, many years ago?
Yeah.
The public was warned about the dangerous Ford Pinto because of insurance problems and because of hazards. The insurance company right now is silent about smart meter fires. And the reason I believe they're silent is because they're not losing any money. When they pay the claim, they then subrogate That is, they charge hydro or Itron, I don't know which, maybe both, for recovery. If an insurance company were losing money by paying out these claims, they would be demanding that these smart meters be removed, or they would be refusing to insure smart meter fires. But they're not doing this. And when I've tried to find out about the lawsuits, how much the hydro is paying out to the insurance company, I've been told that it's confidential information. Even though this is money that is taken out of our BC Hydro, we're paying for these claims through our rates. And it is unreasonable to me to think that the insurance company is silent on this. They should be speaking out, but they aren't. And the only reason they aren't is because they're not losing money.
Does somebody in BC have to die from one of these fires before any action is taken? In Saskatchewan, they had, 8 or 9 fires suspected to be caused by smart meters, and then they decided not to install them. Yet in Saskatoon, where they have their own independent power company, they use them, and they have fires.
Yeah. And in many other places like California, there have been lawsuits. People have died. People may have died here, Jim. I don't know. We have no way of knowing. The media isn't reporting on smart meter fires anymore. They did, if you remember, when they first started, there were many articles reporting on smart meter fires. And then all of a sudden it just stopped. And I believe it stopped due to pressure from somebody. And that somebody could have been the government. It could have been Hydro. It could have been Itron. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, I'm encouraging people who are now being forced to give up their analogs, if they can afford it, and the price is high. I'm encouraging them to move their meters, even if they have smart meters with the transmitters turned off. That doesn't reduce the fire hazard. They should be moving the smart meters as far away from the home as they can. Put it on a pole. And it's expensive. Most people can't afford it. Many people will have to live with that fire hazard. And if they have to keep an eye on their meters. People who have had fires have reported the meter feeling warm to the touch, or seeing water inside the face, or noticing unusual electrical things like lights flickering. This can happen days or weeks before the fire occurs. And another thing that people have to realize is that every time a meter is changed, whether it's an analog to a smart meter or a smart meter to another smart meter, which will happen every 5 to 7 years, there is a risk that the base is going to be damaged, that the lugs that hold the meter into the base get spread. And if there's a spreading of those lugs, there's a gap that will result in arcing, and it's called hot sockets. And this is the cause of many fires. And this will happen every time the meter is changed. And the hot socket fire may not occur right away. It might happen weeks or even months after the meter's been changed. So it's a constant worry. It's a major concern.
We'll have more with Sharon Noble right after this.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO, on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp. is a Canadian-based mineral exploration project generator. The company currently holds multiple property interests in Ontario with joint venture partners and is seeking further joint venture partners for other drill-ready properties in our portfolio. For more information, please visit our website at rmroyalty.com or call me at 604-922-2030.
Cypress Development Corp's flagship lithium project is located just east of Alva Marley's Silver Peak mine in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. A 12-hole exploration drill program for lithium-enriched claystone on Cypress's 100% controlled properties is now underway. Cypress Development Corp trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the pink CYDVF, and on Frankfurt's C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sharon Noble. Sharon, Itron said that the smart meters in BC would only be used for billing data, and that's officially all they're supposed to be doing. Yet is that same company doing more with those meters than they said they would?
Absolutely, Jim. And it's not only that Itron said that that's what they would be using them for. That is what the Clean Energy Act and the electric tariff, which are the two laws governing hydro and the use of metering. The purpose of a meter, whether it's an analog or a smart meter, is to measure consumption for billing purposes. That's the only thing they're supposed to be used for. Yet, recently, we found articles. We found first a statement by Itron saying that its intention all along was to use the smart meters as the basis for a platform for the Internet of Things, to connect appliances, to connect other devices, to allow other companies to use the smart meter for the Internet of Things. And Itron admits in its own brochure that I provided in my update of September 21st, it admits that this was the basic reason for the smart meter right from the very beginning. They stated their intention. Then in another article that I found, it explains how they're going to do it. They're joining with some companies that provide the additional bandwidth and provide the business opportunities to flow into what they call the smart city, where smart meters are joined with things like stop signs, with, I don't know, everything. You know, the Internet of Things is going to be connecting everything wirelessly, from the refrigerator and your television to things outside the home. And it's going to be using our meters and our homes as the basis for this platform. And these two articles, the first article explains Itron's intention, and the second article explains how they will be doing it. And recently, there was an article explaining that in some cities, this is already happening. One place is Cary, North Carolina, where Duke Energy is allowing Itron meters to connect through the city, making it smart. It's going to be connecting electric cars. It's going to be connecting every electrical device, including, as they said, all of the street lights and the street lamps and everything, using the smart meter platform. I contend that this is illegal use of the smart meters. The smart meter was granted and approved. It was ordered by the Liberal government through the Clean Energy Act. The Clean Energy Act says that every home in British Columbia must have one of these wireless devices. It doesn't say it's to become part of the Internet of Things or to provide a commercial basis for other companies. It says it's for billing purposes. It's to replace the analog meter. And the BC Utilities Commission was to butt out. It had no authority or regulatory authority over the smart meter program, but the smart meter program was only for billing purposes. I've written and complained to the BC Utilities Commission. I've provided all of this information about Itron's plans and actually how they're going to do it. And the BC Utilities wrote back to me and said they were ordered not to get involved with the smart meter program. They are ignoring their duty to make sure that Hydro is not using its devices illegally. They're supposed to be ensuring that the public is being treated fairly, honestly, and safely. And they're falling down. I've also written to the Attorney General about this. And the Attorney General says, if I believe that the meters are invading my privacy, I should hire a lawyer and sue them. I wrote back to the Attorney General's office and say, you missed my point. These meters are being used illegally. And the Attorney General's mandate is to ensure that agencies and departments of the government are acting in a legal manner. I haven't heard back from my second letter yet, but I envision receiving a similar response saying it's not their concern. I don't understand, Jim, that how we can allow agencies that are mandated, the whole reason for their being is to make sure that things are done legally. The BC Utilities Commission and the Attorney General just seem to be wanting to wash their hands of these things.
We'll have more with Sharon Noble right after this.
I'm Greg Johnston, CEO of Carl Data Solutions, an industrial Internet of Things company that provides big data solutions for monitoring critical infrastructure. Carl Data offers machine learning and predictive analytics features through our cloud-based applications to deliver key asset-saving operational insights from massive amounts of data. Carl Data trades on the CSE symbol CRL and the pink symbol CBTAF. For more details on Carl Data, please visit carlsolutions.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sharon Noble. Sharon, what kind of a ruling has been made in France concerning electromagnetic hypersensitivity?
A French court has ruled, and it ruled in 2016 and has been reconfirmed, that a person who was unable to work because she was sensitive to wireless radiation, they ruled that it was a physical disability. It was a work-related handicap. They still don't recognize in France that electrosensitivity is a disability, but they do recognize that there's a relationship between the EMFs, the electromagnetic waves, and health. And they said that there is a causal relationship between this exposure and her health problems. It's a major ruling, and it's not the first one that we've seen in the world, but France is one of the countries that's leading the way in some of this stuff. It's a major ruling because it's what the argument was. The company tried to say it was psychiatric. She had suffered from a psychiatric condition, and the court said no, there was something external that was causing her symptoms, and they ruled that there was a direct causal relationship between her exposure and her health symptoms. And they said that she was being forced to work in an unsuitable environment. I wish Canada were as advanced. We've got an awful lot of people who are suffering electrosensitivity here in Canada, and it's increasing. As 5G is being put outside our homes, our 5G transmitters are being put outside homes, and Wi-Fi is being in schools, we're going to be seeing more and more people suffering from electrosensitivity. And they can't exist in this environment. They have to escape it. It's very, very sad.
You were mentioning the Russians, who aren't really known for respecting human rights and safety, really do think that these high frequencies used by 5G and so on are dangerous. Do the Russians restrict their use?
The Russians and the Chinese have been at the forefront of this since the Second World War. They broke all the rules and tested on human beings, and they called it microwave sickness, radiation sickness. Those are the terms that were used by the military, by the U.S. military, and by the Canadian military as well in the Second World War. And Russia and China, because of their tests on human subjects, are very, very aware of the connection between exposure to microwave and radiation and cancers and other health problems. Russia and China have had much lower exposure limits than most of the other countries in the world for decades. And many of their scientists are at the forefront of the studies that are going on now. There are so many studies out there, Jim, And what is really, really frustrating is that the agencies that are responsible for setting these guidelines, whether it is ICNIRP or whether it's World Health Organization, these set the guidelines based upon science, and they are ignoring the very major studies, especially the ones like the Ramazzini Institute, the one that Ramazzini Institute did, the 10-year study, at levels that mimicked the levels of exposure that we have in our ordinary lives today. Their results were that cancer is caused by microwave radiation, and that many other health effects are caused by microwave radiation. Yet the World Health Organization is ignoring it. And this leads to Health Canada and the FCC in the U.S. to ignore it. It is a very, very frustrating situation when scientists are spending all these years and so much money is being spent, and yet nothing is being done to protect us. Cell phones are being sold to the public without any warnings. Children are being exposed to Wi-Fi in school, and nothing can be done.
Does Health Canada use studies to promote cell phone use and so on, studies that are funded and backed by the cell phone companies themselves?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They are using studies that are paid for by the industry. Many of the scientists that work for Health Canada are funded and connected to the industry. For instance, James McNamee has close ties with Motorola. Years ago, when I was trying to convince him to look at things like the Bioinitiative Report or Henry Lai's 10-year study on DNA, he showed me studies that he had done, very, very short studies, just a few days or a few weeks, that were funded by Motorola. And he said he could ignore the studies by Henry Lai because the results were different from the ones that he did for Motorola. He said one basically outweighed the other or canceled the other out. It's no different than what Health Canada is doing with the pesticides report. Recently, it was discovered that they were using studies. They were basing their decision on Monsanto's Roundup on studies that were done by the industry, that were paid for by the industry, that were known to be wrong. They know that these chemicals are carcinogenic. The industry has admitted it, and it's been found for decades. Yet Health Canada is ignoring the fact that glyphosate isn't safe just because Monsanto's studies that were paid for by Monsanto and done many years ago, by the way. These were studies that were done in the 1990s. Those are the same studies that Health Canada is using to allow these things to be used on crops. They're killing birds. They're in our food. Babies are getting it through breast milk. And Health Canada is using these studies to justify it. If you go on Health Canada's website, Jim, you will see some of the most ridiculous assertions and statements. I concentrate, as you know, on microwave radiation. And I go in there and I look, for instance, for cell phone studies. Or I go in and look for the Ramazzini study. If you go in there and say, are cell phones safe? Or is Wi-Fi in school dangerous? You will find statements from Health Canada that will say, there is no conclusive evidence of harm. They make it sound benign. They make it sound as if there's absolutely no reason for worrying. And this is so wrong. And the Cancer Society does the same thing. There is no way that a person who is looking for honest information to protect their families will be able to find it on Health Canada's website or on the Cancer Society's website.
Sharon, anything else you wanted to bring up today?
No, there's so much going on right now, Jim, especially about 5G. We could spend a whole program talking about 5G and what's happening with the microcells proliferating throughout Vancouver, North Vancouver, Burnaby, Maple Ridge. Everybody needs to be aware of this. They need to go to their councils. The scientists are warning about 5G. So I hope that the next time we talk, we can spend a lot of time talking about this, because the public really needs to know what's happening, and I don't think they do.
Sharon, thank you so much for being on the show.
It's my pleasure, Jim, as always.
Is there a website somebody can go to get more information?
Sure is. www.stopsmartmetersbc.com.
My guest has been Sharon Noble, Director of the BC Coalition to Stop Smart Meters. You're listening to the Goddard Report on TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Find us on Twitter at TalkDigitalNet. Our popular YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. If you have questions for the show or our guests, you can send them to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.